Alright, so today's video we're going to be looking at this mountain. Just kidding. We are freaking at the, can't even say it, the Walt Disney animated studio. How's it going, YouTube? This is an absolute bucket list item for me. We are going to be touring the Walt Disney Animation Studio today. I got Ernie back here. This is a D23 tour. They do these every once in a while. I don't think I'm going to be able to film very much, but I'm going to have a lot of pictures. I'm going to put pictures in, try to talk about it a little bit, the experiences, things like that. You excited, Ernie?
Super
excited,
bro.
You guys saw us taking a picture. And anyways, let's get over here. Let's get checked in. We'll talk about how much I can record, how much I can't record. And yeah, welcome to the Walt Disney Animated Studios in California.
It's Disney, bro.
Like I said, this must be one of the sound stages. Here it is, stage 4 right there. Pedestrian crossing sign here. It's got freaking Minnie on it. We're gonna go in here, we're gonna get checked in. Like I said, as much as they're gonna let me take pictures, I'm gonna try and give you guys as much input into these tours as you can get, so you understand what you're getting into when you get here. All right, let's do this. All right, so we've made it into the studio. We're here a little bit early. We're gonna just kind of peruse, check some stuff out. Like I said, there's not officially a thing that what I can and can't record, so I'm gonna be very cautious of how I do this, because I don't want to get kicked out. Ernie?
Yeah.
But anyways, I'll show you guys some cool stuff that I've noticed as I've walked around, one being this right here. And another being these gates right here actually have Mickeys on top of them. We're over by the restrooms right as you enter.
That's flat.
This is kind of the street area here. Here we have Mickey Mouse, a Mickey Mouse topiary. And, you know, this is just the courtyard street area. Here's the studio store. I think that's where we're going to go now to check it out and see what they got.
Life is the bubbles.
So a lot of this stuff is like stuff you'd see in like World of Disney. I don't really see anything brand new that I haven't seen before. Wow, look at these Eeyore ears. I don't think I've seen those before. Yeah, this is it. Here's their studio store right here. And Ernie, he really likes Pooh Bear, so he's probably really liking that.
What?
See those Pooh Bear Crocs right there?
And this one?
Well, that's Eeyore,
I know.
but right there's Pooh Bear Crocs.
Man, I'm not a big croc person, but those might be.
But you like Pooh.
Yeah.
And Tigger. This is so cool. Holy frig. Oh, they even got a little Star Wars section over here. Oh,
Sorry.
you're fine. So Star Wars section here. They actually have, this might be Luke's lightsaber from Galaxy's Edge. Yeah, it is. That's cool. Got some May the 4th stuff. Pretty neat. Pretty cool in here. Look at this, there's a Sorcerer Mickey. And a regular Mickey. To be totally honest with you guys, a lot of time has passed since I toured the Walt Disney Studio. And I've had a chance to sit down and gather my thoughts from it. I do remember it pretty well. It's one of those tours I don't think I'm ever going to forget. So I've got the pictures here with me. Let's go through them. I'm going to show you guys a slideshow. I took a million pictures. I'm going to show them all to you guys. I'm going to talk about the tour and everything about it. So let's get into it now. So first and foremost, here you have a Mickey topiary, which I got a picture of and then immediately took a picture of me in front of the topiary, thanks to Ernie and his photograph skills. And I will say there's a lot of random photos like this. This is a place to put your bicycles. And this is the Sherman Brothers stage. That was our tour guide. I believe her name was Julia. She did a fantastic job on this tour. But here she was kind of talking about all the stuff that has gone on there, and most of that being a lot of the Disney Channel stars like Miley Cyrus, Jonas Brothers, things like that. They recorded in this studio, and there were some plaques outside the sound stage. Really cool, really cool. This is another little photo spot here, Pluto's Corner. This sign actually does not mean anything. It's not correct in any way. There's a picture of me with the sign. However, it is screen used. It was in Saving Mr. Banks, and it was also in another movie, The Reluctant Dragon, which I actually watched after this tour to kind of look at some stuff and you know, mark it up. And then here is actually a little paw print thing. It's 3 Pluto paw prints, of course, one standing up because, you know, the fire hydrant there for obvious reasons. Then I just got some pictures of overall, like, the whole area. Like, here's just a shot of the roads. There's another shot of the stage. And then there is the theater. They actually do premieres there, as long as testing some of the movies and stuff like that. And then we start going into the animation building, and this is one of the old animation buildings that they used to use for all of the classic Disney animations. And hey, look, there's a freaking trash can. How about that? There's one of the plaques that's on the wall, and then you go inside and you're greeted with a Walt Disney, looks like a sketch of some sort, portrait of Walt Disney, Art of Disney's animation. So in this hallway, there was a lot of storyboarding, cell work, various things that you can see here. A lot of images, Hunchback of Notre Dame there, 101 Dalmatians there, and here's some Bambi art as well. And I mean, all this artwork, just so cool. Look at this concept art here for freaking Aladdin. I mean, what's this? Pinocchio there. Some more, just, I mean, this is Dumbo art there, sketch work. And yeah, it's just really cool to see this artwork. Alice in Wonderland there. What the heck is this? Aristocats, maybe? And then here you can see that's Ernie's hand, but you could actually flip these really fast, and you can see the animation style with Beast. I think that's when he's yelling, "Go ahead and starve." But like I said, I'm going through this kind of quick, but a lot of this is just artwork that you can see from original Disney animation. This stuff is really dope to see. A lot of Renaissance stuff, a lot of Golden Age stuff. And then this right here, so this was the offices of the 9 Old Men, which, if you don't know what the 9 Old Men are, those are the classic Disney animators from all the original Disney animation. This is actually where they had their offices at one point. Mark Davis is the first one that comes to mind for me. Holy frick, that's so cool. That was just a newspaper article that I saw. I took a picture of it. And then this is more of that art down the hallway, and you can just see all the different stuff. Looks like that was Little Mermaid. Here's Lion King. This was in the hallway here. It's a little Steamboat Willie right in the middle there. Alice in Wonderland art. Cinderella. Like, this artwork, I was in this hallway forever looking at all this artwork, man. It is so cool to see all these cells and original animated artwork. Like, to see the progression and the style of all this stuff. I don't know why they decided to show Mufasa's death scene, but they did. And I mean, look at it. It's just cool. Oh, and then here we got some, this is kind of showing how they made the cells and how they paint them and ink them and stuff like that. How they actually do the front and back work on that itself. Really, really cool painted cells. To see that stuff. These are like classic images from the Renaissance movies. Like, look at that Mulan picture. I feel like I've seen that a million times. And then more stuff. There's actually a Hercules picture there. I got a close-up of it because it's Hercules. Here's showing some of, like, this was more when they started animating the 3D effects into the animation itself. Beauty and the Beast was kind of the first ones to really do that. And then, of course, they put some of it into Aladdin as well. Tarzan. Got to represent Tarzan, right? Cool to see that. Some more concepts here of Maleficent. Here's some Hunchback of Notre Dame stuff. And yeah, look, I mean, that's the hallway there. That's all the artwork that you can see in the hallways during this tour. And then they ended it with Mulan, Mulan 2, of course, and some of the animation from that as well. There's another Hercules painting there. And then you went upstairs, and this was the featured films of Walt Disney. And it was a little bit about Walt Disney and his history, who he is, and all that stuff. And then this was actually a room. Yes, so this hallway is what they believe to be Roy Disney's office. And they're guessing it. There was a tree outside that would block Roy from seeing Walt. And that's why they think this is where his office was located. They're not 100% sure on that, but just from stories, they believe that's what it was. And then this is a little thing that I wish I could remember the guy that made this. This is like showing you all of the work that goes into creating an animated movie. And it's just really cool. A little design piece here with these little miniature 2D cutouts put into a 3D setting. I think somebody that worked on the Haunted Mansion created this, and it wasn't the most generic person that I can think of that did it. I cannot remember his name. I wish I could. I can't. So, and then here's a blueprint of the original animation building right there too. That's pretty freaking cool to see. More blueprints there, and then here they are talking about a sweatbox and what it is, and essentially a sweatbox is where they had all the equipment. Okay, and then here was us. We're now heading into, this is kind of the build-up heading into Walt's office. They start talking about Walt Disney and his life, and, you know, he's born in Chicago, and talking about his early life, then him going to Marceline, and the Alice comedies. I heard Laughograms, I think, mentioned once during this. It's a lot of old photos of Walt, and that actually is a picture of him at the studio itself. That's crazy to see. And then they have this little area. It's all these famous books from productions. You can see the Deadpool book up there in the corner. Forbidden Spells, I think that's from Wizards of Waverly Place. And also the freaking Necronomicon knockoff spell book from Hocus Pocus. That was dope to see. And then they all had a few other books. There's East High School Wildcats. That one stuck out to me. They also have the book from National Treasure as well, which is really cool. And here's some more early books of Walt Disney. These have a name. I can't remember the name of them right off the top of my head. They're like children's books. But there was a whole bunch of them there as well. There's that sign that we took a picture of earlier. That's pretty cool to see. Yeah, and then look at this. This is crazy. This is a picture of Walt Disney, and that is him in front of the painting of Disneyland. And, of course, this picture here is the Florida project, which turned into Walt Disney World. At the time, it was going to be Epcot, but that's where they announced it, in Florida. And here is a picture with Raleigh Crump. That is the guy I was thinking of earlier. That's part of, like, a lot of Haunted Mansion stuff, the Museum of the Weird, and things like that. There's a picture of Walt pointing at Orlando on a map of Florida. There's a sign of the Walt Disney Archives, which is cool. Here's another picture of Walt actually in his office looking through stuff. This was a recreated animation area, like where they would do the animation for stuff, the animators' offices. It's pretty cool to see. A lot of that stuff is from the time period, which is dope. This is the Olympic Torch. Wow, look at that. Olympic Torch. Now, we're getting close here. We are heading into Walt Disney's office area. This is actually where his secretary would have been located at the time. A little picture of Mickey, all of his freaking crazy awards. Some of those were replicas. I took a picture of this just because it was from Cleveland. And here's some chairs. I thought these were cool because it has that little ashtray in the middle. And I think this was actually the secretary's office area desk. But essentially, now we're in Walt's office. This is it. That's the Sherman Brothers freaking piano. This was so cool to see. I'm just looking through all these pictures right now. I took a ton of pictures in here. Got every little bit taken pictures of. This is actually the bird that inspired the Tiki Room, which was the first animatronics. Walt's office there with his plane statue, some figurines in the back, pictures of his kids. That's just so cool. So freaking cool to see that. So cool to see all this stuff in this office. Holy frick. Like, looking at it now, it's been a month, and I'm still just like, man, that is crazy that I went through all that. Here's a shelf, and what's crazy about this shelf with all these books is there was books in it, including the books that inspired, like, Frozen and stuff like that, years before. Of course, I had to be the last one to sit in there so I could take a picture in Walt's office by myself, which I totally took advantage of. Took a picture of it with no one in there. Guys, I'm going to stop for a second and tell you that that is one of the coolest things about this tour, to be able to be in his office and see it basically the way it was. Because if you don't know, when he passed away, they came in. It was kind of the first archive mission. They took pictures of everything down to the paperclip. Took it out of there, let other people occupy it. Years later, they said, hey, we should fix this and turn it back into Walt's office. And that's what they did. They turned it right back into his office. His office is massive. Here's some more pictures of it. This is one of the other rooms. This is actually where he would have guests and things like that. It had a kitchen in it. You can see the big picture there of Disney or Disneyland, and the couch, everything. It's almost right to the era of time. It's so cool. Right here in this thing, the book right in the middle is actually what inspired the original Epcot idea. Of course, I had to get a picture of the ashtray there because, you know, he smoked. Oh gosh, I'm not sure what this is. What is this? Guys, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what this map is, unless it was like one of the original ideas for the Florida project, which maybe is what that is. And then this is one of his planes. I think that's the plane that flew over Florida. Somebody will definitely correct me if I'm wrong. More pictures here in this little part of the office. Got a picture of his suitcase bag. This was a award that was like given out to people in the Walt Disney Company. It was like a Mouse Emmy Oscar thing, but it was of Donald. I can't remember the name right off the hand. Here was Walt's kitchen. It had a bunch of like chili and stuff that Walt would enjoy. Here's some Walt Disney artifacts, things he would wear, stuff like that. Crazy to look at. And then in this last room, originally it had stuff from Walt Disney's family. A lot of it went to the family museum, so they really turned it into just like the studio itself, history, some historic things on the wall, some old pictures of Anaheim. Really, really cool stuff to see. We didn't spend a lot of time in here. Or at least I didn't. I was more looking at Walt Disney's office itself. Then we left, we went across the street, went to the Michael Eisner building, which is the famous building that a lot of people have seen. This is where like the legacy stuff is, the Disney legend things. You can go here, you can look at all these crazy cool statues. This is actually the statue that's at Magic Kingdom of Roy and Minnie. Here's all the legends that they have. I took just not random, but ones that kind of meant something to me, like Favreau here, Kirby, Lee, Robert Downey Jr. Took a picture in front of this statue right here, which is the legend statue. Really cool to see that. And just the Eisner building in the background. Like, look how freaking cool that is. Here's some more. These are some of the 9 old men, actually. There's Mark Davis up there at the corner. Another picture of that statue. Man, I was really liking that statue, apparently. Sherman Brothers here. Julie Andrews. And what else we got? Mary Blair. Yeah, look at that. Mary Blair on here. That's dope. And then this is the only partner statue that you actually can go up and touch. So, of course, I had to touch it. Look at me. I'm holding Mickey Mouse's hand. That's dope. I'll never be able to say that I didn't get a picture with that statue. And, of course, here's Jim Henson. I had to get him. Of course, he passed away before he could get, like, his hand stamps. So he doesn't have that. But there is Jim Henson. And look at this. Tony Baxter up there. John Goodman, Billy Crystal. Here's all the Star Wars people that was missing Frank Oz. They did not have Frank Oz's up yet. So that was kind of sad. But look at that. James Earl Jones down there. How cool is freaking that? So it's really cool to be able to look around at all these. Johnny Depp, Danny Elfman. Holy frick. Like, so many people. Thurl Ravenscroft. Frick, man. That's Tony the Tiger. Then we left there. We went a little bit down the way. Went to the Frank G. Wells building. And we went inside here. This is actually where the archives is. So you're going to see a lot of pictures here of archive stuff. There's a Donald Duck thing. Here is a blueprint of the Hyperion Avenue. This was the original animation building that they moved. There's the desk that Walt used when he was there. There's a little statue of Walt, a little bust, I guess. Here's some really early Oswald stuff, Alice comedies, things like that. Like, that's freaking crazy. Look at those freaking business cards. Oh, there's just so much, guys. So freaking much. Look at this freaking director's chair. Here's an old here's an old animatronic of Alice. Oh my gosh, man. I forgot how many pictures I took. Check it out. I'm holding an Oscar. A freaking Oscar. And then Ernie's holding an Oscar. Look at that. How many people can say they held an actual Oscar? Everybody that took this tour. There's an old picture of Walt. Old painting. There's Roy. And here's some statues. Like mini replica statues. Here's some old promotional Robin Hood things. That's dope to see. And this is just all the stuff they have here in the archives. Like, these are books, various things like that. That is Jack Sparrow's hat from freaking Pirates of the Caribbean. Dope. I already showed you guys that, so there you go again. Check this out. This is the multiplane camera. I am so glad I finally got to see one of these in person. If you don't know anything about these, essentially this was the early idea of Photoshop, where you have layers, and instead of zooming in on the image, you're actually moving the layers closer. It makes it look like you're walking instead of zooming in on the image itself. It's pretty revolutionary in that respects. It really changed a lot of modern day cinematography. And it's just cool to see. I've never seen one of these in person. I've always wanted to see one in person. I kind of nerd out on the idea of what this is and what it created. Because without it, we probably wouldn't have Photoshop. It really is the early ideas of Photoshop, the multiplane camera. So obviously I took a million pictures of it, and it was really cool to see it. Really, really neat to check it out. And then here's a shelf, or I guess not a shelf, but a little display, of some different Disney archive stuff. You can see all the various things. Pretty cool stuff. There's some signatures, Mickey Mouse Club things, Mary Poppins stuff, photos here and there. There's a Roy O. Disney briefcase, and just tons of stuff about the archives in this area. Bunsen and Beaker's lab. Of course, I had to take a picture of that. That was the only thing of Muppets I could find on this whole tour, so I obviously took a picture of that. Here's a plaque about Frank G. Wells. Of course, he unfortunately passed away in a helicopter accident. And then here we got some stuff around the actual facility, the ink and painting area. We got to briefly talk about that. Ink and paint department, which was mostly just women. Eventually it turned into men, but a lot of women did the inking and painting for the early Disney animation stuff. And here's some more just history of ink and painting, and you can see a lot of the sketch work, more sketch work, some of the stuff they use, the containers, talking about the new technology and the advancements and the printing, and going into the Renaissance era and how they did stuff then. And it's just so much information, guys. So much information in this area. There's the water tower. It is an actual water tower, not just a fake water tower. Motion Picture Film Archive, that is the Disney Vault. That is where they house all of the movies, all the original movies in every sort of format. That is where they are. That is the Disney Vault. This is just a cool little photo thing. It lights up at night. They tore it down once, I guess, and they brought it back because the cast members wanted to see it again. And then there's the water tower once again. But yeah, I mean, and then here's one of the stages they have. Stage 1, which had Wonderful World of Color, which was the old Disney, like, here's what we're doing at Disneyland show, where he would show off some stuff. And then stage 2 is actually where they filmed Mary Poppins, and they built the Mark Twain riverboats for Disneyland, which is freaking crazy. Guys, that was the tour. Holy crap. Somehow I combined that into 20 minutes. It's actually close to 2 to 2.5 hour tour. I briefly just went through it. Oh my gosh, it was so cool, so fun. Loved it. Phenomenal. It's worth being a D23 member just to do that tour. Okay, back to past Logan to close out this video. Well, that was quite the journey. You guys are seeing all these pictures. I probably did some narration on them, and that was pretty amazing. I had an absolute blast. Ernie, did you have a blast?
Awesome.
I think he had more of a blast watching me have a blast. than he actually had in there, because I was nerding out pretty good.
No, it was fun.
So shout out to our tour guide. I think her name was Julia.
Yeah.
Shout out to her. She did an amazing job. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and seeing all the stuff. Oh, you guys want to see what I bought? Ernie, they want to see what I bought. Got the button. All right, so I got these. These are unrelated. I got this mystery pin set right here. Comes with all these guys. Pretty dope. And then I got this little pin here. Oh! Also, they gave us pins on the tour, and I don't think I showed them. So they gave us this right there. Thanks, Ernie. They gave us this right here. This was a archive pin set. Pretty cool. What was the other one? It was this, which if you watch the video, you'll notice it was on his freaking
Ashtray.
ashtray. No, cigarettes, or not cigarettes, matches.
Matches.
And then, last but not least, I got this really cool Spirit jersey. My second Spirit jersey right here. Had to get it. It says Burbank, California Studios, all that crap. Super freaking cool. Excuse my hair, it's windy out, but that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing all the pictures of the studio tour, what you can expect if you are a D23 member. Check it out, try to sign up for this. Highly recommend it. It is super cool. Ernie, my hands are full, so I need you to do a peace sign for me. Like, subscribe, all that bull crap. Until next time.